Hi. Oh, got a croak. How exciting is it? Manafort's plea. I think this constitutes a champagne moment for Muller. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. I'm so excited. I hope you guys are too. So, he held out and he held out. And then the last few weeks he's been trying to get a deal and begging Muller, obviously, give me a deal, I'll give you something. And Muller's going, we've got all that. You have to give us something really juicy. And he obviously has. So let's have a look. What is the plea deal about? Okay. Here we have, in the middle. Okay. All right. This was Manafort in the early stages, the Page of Cups. He who had it all as a young man. It's a very Neptunian card for those of you who follow astrology as well. It's a very watery card. He was very fluid. You could certainly say he was fluid ethically. He worked for the worst of the worst, so he didn't care. He had no moral compass at all, and that can be a problem. We know Trump doesn't drink, but I suspect Manafort drinks like a fish. So I think this is the younger Manafort. This is the Manafort where all things were possible. He then went out and made a name for himself, cutting a swathe through the international community. So he was very effective out and about, but as we know, viewers, this is also the card of the spy. And I think this has two things to say about Manafort. One is that to do the filthy dealings, like lobbying for really repressive regimes, he had to do his share of spying. I'm sure he would have outsourced it. Again, not a fine print man. He's like Trump in that he's not a fine print man. He just wanted the money. So that was a spy, I think, in his professional life. But now he has turned. These next three cards are about what's happening now. So underneath it is, this is him fairly recently trying to work out how to preserve something, anything for his family, to row away from the troubles and to try and get into a situation where he could save his family. However, the swords are still there. The swords of justice impeding his progress. He was not able to get away. And, whoops, this is him in the sense of being bound up, surrounded by swords. There was no escape. So the only thing he could think of doing was offering up the significant new information, and we'll try and find out what that is in a minute, in order to walk away, meaning walk away with 10 years jail instead of 48 years jail. In order to do that, he was prepared to give Mueller what he wanted at this stage, and for him 10 years looks good. 2 years ago it would have been inconceivable for a guy like Manafort to think 10 years jail was a good news story. It's the same with Cohen. These guys just didn't see it coming. They are so used to being the bully boys, it never occurred to them the castle could be breached, that they could come undone and be chucked in the moat. They really had no idea. Oh, it's so satisfying, is it not, viewers? So let's see if we can find out what's he giving up to Mueller. What is the key to the plea deal? Key to the plea deal. What is the key? Okay. I do 4 cards on this. Good. Muller. Okay. All right. The key to this, well, it's not news. It's understanding what I was just saying about No Way Out. This is the card of nostalgia. So Manafort, who is in jail as we speak, is nostalgic for a life outside of jail. So he's not nostalgic for being 25 again and snorting, 16 yards of cocaine before he went off and did a deal. It's not that sort of nostalgia. It's a nostalgia for having his fundamental freedom. And so this is what he's fighting for at this case. So we know that he's looking at around 10 years, but this is what is motivating him. Emotionally, it's been very taxing. This is not a warm and fuzzy guy. It's not emotional in that sense. He's certainly not sorry. There's nothing to indicate remorse. With him, Cohen, I don't know, but with Manafort, no remorse. This is feeling sorry for himself. It's feeling sorry for what he's lost. And speaking of what he's lost, I'm sure you guys have caught up with the forfeits of assets, including all those homes in all sorts of places. A little snippet, viewers. Apparently, just those forfeitures of his properties and what's left in these sundry bank accounts has meant that pays for the entire Mueller investigation into everybody. Someone did the maths on those forfeitures, and it actually supersedes the tens of millions that the Mueller probe has cost. So, in fact, Manafort has paid for the Mueller probe. I kind of like that. Okay, back we go to the mini outcome card, which is Mueller. So, the key, in a way, was his emotional exhaustion, his understanding that if he was ever to be out again, he had to do a deal, and that he has lost this lifestyle. Okay. So, will this mean direct problems for Don Jr. and Kushner? Because that has to be the juicy one, does it not? Let's have a think. So, will it impact Don Jr. and Kushner? Don Jr. and Kushner. Don Jr. and Kushner. All right. Oh! Ah, I love it. Okay. Now, in this you have the Page of Pentacles. I think, given I named both of them, Don Jr. and Kushner, I think this page represents both of them. The Page of Pentacles, the young men with money, born to money, and just were groomed in a way to make money in their sleep, which was just as well, because neither of them are smart enough to actually make money in their own right. So they were born to it. So this is them. So behind that you had the Magician, which is, to a certain extent, I think it refers to the fact that they had quite magical lives. This is in the short-term past, quite magical lives, and they were able to pull in all the energy and contacts from everywhere in the way rich kids do all over the world to make them look good. Okay. What was underneath it? The Happy Families card. Family money and family celebration and doing everything for the family. They're both family businesses. Neither of these guys, nor has Trump, run a real organisation. They've been family businesses and keeping up the mythology of the happy families. This is often my GOP card, but none of these guys are actually GOP. They're just really playboy Democrats, you know. So it's coming out in this context as this is the happy families that made their lives so special. On top, the tower. In answer to the question, yes, that tower, Trump Tower, everything about this is crashing in an unprecedented way, and I would suggest, finally, it's not that far away. Their outcome, once again, no wonder they're all looking backwards, because looking forwards is not a fun space. So, again, oh, what went wrong? How could this happen? I am so special. I had magic. I even had God on my side. I had everything on my side. How can this be? I want my old life back. So that's what that is about, as far as I'm concerned. So, the plea deal. What else do we need to know about this, viewers? So, yes. So I actually sat down this morning over coffee and read the 17 pages of the plea deal. And Mueller has sewn it up tight, so it's going to be very hard to get any wriggle room for Manafort from here on in. He's basically agreed to everything. So, you know, no rights of appeal, no anything. He's admitted to the other 10 offences, I think, that were mistrialed in the recent trial. I think. I'm not sure because it was such dense legal language and there were so many other things to focus on. So if someone knows the answer to that, please let me know. I think part of the plea deal was admitting to that, which makes that lone juror look really stupid. So, okay. The question from here is, okay, let's see about indictments for Junior and Kushner. Are indictments pending? Junior and Kushner. Indictments. All right. Ooh. Yes, here. Now, by that, like all the tarot readers say, tarot is not famous for timelines, but I don't think we're looking very far out here. I'll stick my neck out, and my feel from these cards is sooner rather than later. In other words, the next few months. I don't think it'll go past Christmas in that sense. Hope not. That's just my general vibe. Anyway, I won't dwell on timelines because they're not my forte. Okay, so the topic here, business over the waters, like Russia, okay. With the they get the death card, and indictments in this case, you know, is the end of their playboy lifestyles. It's a double whammy. Because they've only ever been involved in family businesses, all they've got is their name. That's what's made them money, Trump and Kushner as surnames. Now their names will be tarnished forever. They've got nothing else left to sell. So it's the death and this is operating effectively to kill any potential businesses. Jail's a possibility, guys. Jail is a possibility for both of these guys. Here we have female judges. Again, we've got Amy Johnson doing Manafort, women in the judiciary. This has been a pattern throughout these readings too. There's some very strong women on the bench and they're not impressed by this behaviour. So I think what's interesting, you guys follow this stuff very closely too, obviously. So one of the threats or the worries has been once Mueller puts his report together, it then goes to Rosenstein or whoever's been replaced, you know, by then, which could be a Trump-friendly performing seal, and Congress or something. So in other words, there was still a risk a Republican Congress wouldn't release Mueller's findings properly, only bullet points, and there was a risk that the DOJ, under a less conscientious person, could also try and bury the report. How Mueller's got around that, very clever man, is speaking indictments. And we have spoken about speaking indictments before, have we not, viewers? And the beauty of those, this is another one, that's why it was 17 pages. Speaking indictments lay out the whole story that the public can see from the beginning. Normally, prosecutors hold a whole lot back and then they bring them out as cannon fodder as they go through a case. Mueller hasn't done that. He puts the story out with each indictment so that even if they sat on the final report, you know what? The story is out there with each and every indictment. So our best friends are these weird things called speaking indictments. Okay, guys, enjoy what is a very good day in terms of things moving forward. And then, of course, there's all the rest going on. So bye for now. Ciao.